First of all, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a privilege for me to be here today in front of such an august company. And I thank Mr. Bhandari for taking a personal initiative, and as well as the entire RPG group. Well, as already introduced, so I'll keep that part brief. We are from Future Netwing Solutions. We are headquartered out of Kolkata, but we have our branches pan-India and in a few neighboring countries. So again, we are one of the fastest, rated as one of the fastest growing companies in India by Dun & Bradstreet and Onikra recently. We have our global delivery center and office headquarters in Rajarhat. And these are a few of the services which we are in. Interesting to you would be areas like maybe data center, big data, network solutions has been our bread and butter for the last 20 years. That's the number of years we have been there in the business, and we continue to grow fast. Some of the partners we work with, we are leading partners with major OEMs like Cisco, Tyco, HP, EMC. So we have high level of partnerships with them. For example, with Cisco we are premier partners, with Tyco we would be elite partners. So that enables us to, and we have been there with them for the last 15-20 years. So we're really close to them, and that enables us to get good pricing as well as support from them. This is a slide which I'm always very proud to show, because they probably have the creme de la creme of the industry, and these are customers who have been there with us for the last 10-12 years. So our strength comes from our commitment, our support which we have given to the customers, and have not lost a single customer for the last so many years. So that probably says that we are doing something right here. Well, some of the industry awards we have received for over the last few years, which includes some international awards as well. One of them was Echelon's award for the one that was on energy management actually, which we received for South ASEAN region. Okay, so I think we are all running a little short of time, so I'll not really spend much time on that. More details are of course available on our website. And I'm Jaideep, so I'm the founder CEO of Future Netwings, which is a professionally managed company. We have, again, as I mentioned, we are headquartered out of India, and we have primarily some banks and financial institutes which help us the finance part, and of course the technology and all of that is in place. So today the discussion would be on smart office. Now smart office are two English words, so and can really mean different things. I mean, it can be a good looking office, it can be something else, but today of course from the IT industry, what we will merge in that smart office is how IT can actually play a role in making the activities which one is doing on a daily basis, how IT can make it actually smarter. So again, the areas which we have covered in smart office, we have picked up actually 8 or 10. There can be many more, which probably, hopefully, during the course of the presentation, I would hope and expect that you would be asking me a few questions. Okay, Jaideep, probably this is something which I don't see in the presentation, or something this is more you could have done. So what I've done is that naturally, 8-10 areas are quite comprehensive. So each one actually can take you a couple of hours. So what we have done is that we have just created a theme. When a leading corporate like the RPG group sets up an office, then you would go through certain functionalities. So how that becomes smarter in life. So we have what we have done is that we have not made it very technical, because that would be a one-to-one offline. So we have created a theme, how a office starts and ends, and the activities which happen out of it, and how IT plays a role. That's how we have done it. So we start. So it's a small storyline kind of a thing that we have started off from the perspective of interaction. What generally happens is that when an office operates, there are two things which happen. So one is that people from outside, they would come in, and then there are office colleagues in the office team itself which comes in and out. So here we have started off with, say, someone, I am, say, seeking an appointment with Mr. Bhandari, and that's how it starts. So here, of course, I've changed my name. I have, say, Prashant is a guy who is who is a partner who wants to set up an appointment with with Mr. Sharma of ABC Industries, right? So what generally happens? He's trying to make a call normally, which often, I hope you agree to this, it can be quite an awkward, thing sometimes, because he's calling and probably most of the time a senior person is busy, so he's not even calling. And even, if I'm going to call Mr. Bhandari again and again, knowing that he's probably busy, I would be very hesitant about it. But, the thing is that I am desperate to reach Mr. Bhandari because I have something which I want to share with him. And probably, even Mr. Sharma, as we have named it here, it also requires to know a few things from me, right? But often the communication does not happen. So what happens? So Mr. Sharma is in a meeting, Mr. Sharma is in a meeting and the phone rings, and he's of course irritated that the phone is suddenly ringing, and he's giving a presentation to the CEO, and Prabhat also figures out that, hey, that Mr. Sharma is busy, so I should not call. So then suddenly Prashant remembers that he has downloaded one app. Okay, he knows about this app, and he's downloaded one app called Easy App on his smartphone, published by ABC Industries, which is the so Mr. Sharma is the CEO of ABC Industries, and that app actually has a section which can send a meeting request, right? So what happens out of that? So what he does is that Prashant runs that app, sends an appointment request. So he's not calling anymore. He opens the app, sends a request, Mr. Sharma, I want to meet you. That's it. And he also gives him some tentative timelines. So he gives him a timeline, okay, noon or 1 p.m. or 1:30. So he just sends a few lines. So this request is received by the Easy App on Mr. Sharma's smartphone, and it's just lying on he's finishing his meeting. It's not disturbing him at all. Once the engagement is over, he fiddles with his phone, which is our thing of life, which immediately after the meeting we will be like looking into our phones, what has happened. He sees a pop-up from the app which sees a pending approval, that these are the meeting request has come, this is the purpose of the meeting, and these are the tentative. And Mr. Sharma thinks, okay, this is interesting, I need to really meet Prabhat, and let's give an appointment. So he gives him an approval for March 20th, Tuesday, 2 p.m. That's what he does. So without much of a chaos, he receives, Prashant accepts the time slot, okay, this is acceptable. So his appointment is fixed. But what happens along with this is that suddenly he gets something else apart from a simple approval. He also gets 4 numbers. It's like that pin, it's like that one-time pin we receive. He also gets a pin which is a 3628. So why does he require a pin? Let's proceed to find out why. So on that day morning, 2 people get reminders. One is Prashant himself, because he has to still go for the meeting. Early in the morning, he gets a reminder that you have a meeting with Mr. Sharma at 2 p.m. Mr. Sharma also gets a reminder that you have an appointment and Prabhat is coming to meet you. And what he does is that around the app, in his same app, he has several options of meeting room booking. So he wants to book XYZ meeting room. All of that is integrated in his app. So here's something which will now relate to you, because all these things, this app thing probably you were not using, apart from maybe using some Outlook meeting requests, which is not as convenient as this, because you still need to open your laptop and do a few things there. This is of course app. Why an app is useful? Because it's very dynamic. It's in a mobile phone. You can operate it easier manner. Now this is something which you do, right? A booking room, booking and all of that happens in your daily lives. I assume that, because you have your entire meeting room solutions are available. But this has to be integrated in the same system, because one would not like to open many things together and do it. So he has one app and he's following that same trend. So he knows immediately, okay, in the same go, he's booking a meeting room with a small, medium, whatever big time, he gives a time slot and he books it. So that's all done. That integrates with the back-end meeting room system, which is already in place. So those systems are available. So what we are getting here is that certain things are already available with you and you're doing it. What is happening is that they're often not stitched together. Okay, so Prashant arrives. Now what he does is that you see there's a gate here and there is no security guard. Normally what would happen is that when parking is one of the biggest nuisances of life nowadays. If you have a parking, if you are self-driving it, you are in trouble, right? Because you would not know how to handle it, whether to get into a car. Once you enter a premises, somebody with a long register would be sitting, he will be asking questions, and if he's not in a good mood, he'll be also not be talking to you in a nice tone, which you would not like. So often it's a human-driven system, quite inefficient. Plus, there is another thing to it. We are also two things. One we have focused on here. One is convenience, of course. You'll see how the thing is becoming convenient. Another thing is security. So normally when we walk in, now if I'm going to a premises regularly, and if I can go to a gate, and if I can throw a name, I'm probably getting an entry. In fact, it happened to me when I went to your campus the earlier day in New Alipur. I just went in there, I said Mr. Bhandari, and he said, okay, ab jaiye. But I just knew Mr. Bhandari's name, that's it. I mean, isn't that a security breach? Another side of it, nuisance would have been there, he might have actually stopped me. If he didn't like my face, or if he didn't like my car, he would have probably stopped me. But I really had an appointment, so there's no need to stop me. And then he's trying to call Mr. Bhandari. Mr. Bhandari is probably in a meeting, or it's not convenient for him to talk right now, or the mobile connection line is not good, and here I'm standing with my car on that gate, and there are a few other cars behind me, right? So there's convenience and there's security, two things. So here there is no person, but we talked about the PIN. So what he does is that he remembers he's received the Easy App PIN. So all he has to do is type 3628, because that has been pre-approved, right? Only when Mr. Sharma has approved that, he has got that PIN. What that PIN has done is that it integrates with the database of that boom barrier there. So it's like, again, the analogy is one-time password. We all use it every day, right? So there's a database sitting on that. There's a database that's integrating with that app. The moment he has given the 3628, what happens is that he gets a welcome sign. There's a RFID card which gets dispensed. So he presses that. There's an RFID card which comes out of it. Normally, it's given by the security guard, right? So, and there's an instruction as well on his mobile phone saying that please proceed to parking slot B12. So just note this, I will cover it, just remember this part. Please proceed to parking slot B12. And his boom barrier opens because he's been allowed, and he enters. There is no manual intervention here. It has been pre-approved, so it's secure and it's quite convenient. And what has happened, three things have happened here. One is that he's got secure access, it's happened perfectly, and he's also got the RFID card, which now allows him to go around in the campus. Now, where did that B12 come from? The B12, why B12? So what happens here again? So we discussed about two things. One is now here how the process has become smarter. So what is happening now? Normally what happens is that you enter and you do all that. You call somebody कि मैं आ गया हूँ, आप मेरे को वो दरवान को बताइए कि मेरे को अंदर जाने दे, etc. etc. That guy either enters you, doesn't enter, let you enter. It can be a security issue because you can enter and create some nuisance there. So we have avoided that, and now the parking slot, which is another big issue, because normally parking slots are available, right? But they're not managed well. I don't know. In any of your offices, do you actually have managed parking slots? You have parking slots, I know, but is it managed in some way?
Quest.
Right? Oh, Quest
Mall.
Okay.
No, it's not,
okay. That's a good example actually. No, that's a very good example. Okay. So Quest Mall, you have parking slots which are available, right? I can drive into Quest, but when I'm driving up, and Quest, some of the driveway, sorry for that, it's not the biggest. South City Mall is bigger. When you are doing that and you are probably rushing into a movie and all, do you actually know that in the lane which goes left, Is it actually available or not? You don't know. So, you know, it's a very simple thing. So, all you need in life is a sensor which is quite inexpensive, which is in few hundreds maybe, sitting on top of a slot, and it senses the car. And it is, you know, these are very simple, you know, physics exercise in physics which even a class 9 kid can do. He senses that, has a LED display, senses the data saying that that slot is empty, right? Does it sound easy? So, where does B12 come from? This is exactly what it is doing. So, it is sensing that a slot B12 is actually available and is picking that up, giving into his app. So, once he has pressed those 4 buttons, 4 numbers, he's got 3 things. He's got an entry, he's also got a parking slot, and best part is that none of this is complicated. Do you agree with me on that? Is there any rocket science here? No? Okay. So, so here's our B12 parking slot. So, B12 was empty, he's parked his car. So, now you see those red dots. So, there's a sensor on top, it's sensing those cars. He's parked his car on B12 and he's proceeding to the reception. Okay. And another thing happens, because, you know, another thing in our life is that we are always busy, right? Especially the bosses. So, he's always into meetings, or somebody is coming to him with a sign, and sometimes he's just spending some time which he could have avoided in life, right? He's probably chatting, you know, his conversations are becoming stretched. But he, at that point of time, if he receives an app that, okay, your visitor has arrived, he just becomes conscious that he's in his parking slot and probably he'll be up now in like 10 minutes. So, he doesn't want to make him wait, because we don't like to do that, but it happens in life. Sometimes when you look at visitor management, it is for no reasons you will see visitors sitting in the reception, which is a nuisance, but from other things. I mean, there could be simply shortage of space, or otherwise, you know, there is some loud visitor talking on the mobile phone. You can't really help that, but you can avoid the whole thing if you can manage your time better. So, what this app silently does is that probably sends him a reminder where his efficiency on the whole thing becomes slightly better. Does this sound, can you relate this with your daily lives? Does it happen to us? Okay, so he gets a reminder. That's okay. Let's just keep it at that. So, Prashant enters the office lobby. He receives a notification on Easy App for Wi-Fi. Now, this part again, I think all of us do, right? We have Wi-Fi. I'm not getting into the Wi-Fi, you know, how good or how, you know, available the Wi-Fi is, how secure the Wi-Fi is. That's a separate subject. So, that's what I'm saying. So, everything what I'm saying here, there can be a huge presentation behind it, how your Wi-Fi should be set up. So, we are not getting into that. We can get into that. We are experts in that. I can help you with that. But what we are doing is that, so we have a guest Wi-Fi. Like we have 2 kind of Wi-Fis. One is that your employee Wi-Fi, one is a guest Wi-Fi, and there would be security policies, etc., on that. So, we have a guest Wi-Fi. Moment he sends, he has that option, and he wants to join. It's very easy to join. It's protected. So, there's a DMZ zone, and he's there, and he's not getting into any other things. He just gets in and basically maybe accesses a little bit of internet or does a few other functionalities. Now, here's something which he gets is something probably would be interesting to you. So, he logs in, and he also has a, if you see, there is a way to the meeting room. Normally what happens? He comes in and immediately there will be one character which is your group 4 or some security, and there are not many numbers. So, if you are in Infosys with a huge campus and you know, sprawling space and, you know, number of floors, you are in trouble, because how many such security guards would you have to escort them to the rooms? And if there is a distance to cover, then that's quite a task. Can this be, you know, automated to a certain extent? Can this be made smarter to extent? Because there are 2 things again, you know, availability. First of all, you need to have manpower to escort him, which is a tough task, because, you know, if you are growing, you always have to plan, can I scale up to that growth? So, is it easy to have more manpower, you know, escorting a person if you have 2? I mean, how many escorts can you plan? How many such people can you plan? Maybe you will have 2 or 3, and suddenly you have a rush of 5 or 6 of them who have come. How do you manage that? You have to make one, you have to put one in the queue. Now, if that person is an important person, then you are in, now there is a spot of trouble there. But otherwise, if you are going to make it a smart model, then it's okay. So, I mean, it's nice to be escorted, but if you still have technology doing that, I think it's both smart and he feels good about it. So, how you do that? You can ask me that question, I can tell it to you. So, how does this map come, right? So, but the map comes. If you're going to ask me, I can tell you how the map comes, but otherwise this is now available. So, he doesn't require anybody. He has a map and he can actually follow that map and not ask few people on the way and trying to wait for somebody comes and opens the door. That's what happens to us all the time, right? So, we enter with the RFID card, but we still actually can't enter, or worse, get out, because you still can't do that, most offices. Okay, so Prashant swipes his guest RFID card. You remember that came out of the machine, huh? Nobody actually issued it to him. It was the dispensing machine which came out with at the office entrance and gains access, right? So, once he's entered, he knows exactly where to go because it's showing him, it's giving him a map. This is actually not the right picture. So, it actually gives a nice layout of the office. So, if I'm here and I have to get there, it'll actually show me a way like this. So, I can, if I'm a reasonably okay, if I can look properly and relate properly, I'm going to get there. At the same time, Mr. Sharma actually knows that, okay, my visitor has come and he's on the way to the meeting room, because he knows that now it's almost predictable. So, these are not human-driven factors. Normally, he's factoring, okay, group for security is there, not there. He knows that once a person comes in, since the app is guiding him, in X minutes he's going to be there. That's what it happens. So, he knows exactly when to leave. So, nobody is actually telling him, sir, your visit has come or not. That's not happening. So, we are doing away with that. So, moment he leaves his room, automatically his light goes off, right? This part we know. So, when you talk about smart offices, more often than not, you will get to this part. What is smart office? You save energy. So, your light goes on and off and all of that, right. So, this system can also integrate with that. How it integrates, I will briefly cover. So, its energy savings, automation is only a part of the whole thing, but yes, it's a part of smart office. I agree with you on that. So, what happens is that, again, AC goes on into the standby mode. Your PC, sometimes we don't do this, and if you multiply that by, in case of a TCS or somebody like that, into a million maybe now, I don't know how many they are now. So, that's quite a bit of energy wastage with carbon footprints and green save the world campaigns. This makes a lot of sense. Okay, so now Prashant, while he's waiting he still has access to that Wi-Fi, remember. So, once he's fiddling, he still has a couple of minutes time. So, he actually finds the pantry menu there, and if Mr. Sharma has authorized him, he can actually offer, get a drink for himself, or at least a glass of water, right, or a couple of biscuits. That's available for him in that menu. So, once he logs on, apart from the browsing internet, he finds a tab, he presses that, and he can order a glass of water for himself. Not unnecessary. Sometimes we don't want, right, but a person is still engaged he has been told that, okay, here's a guest, offer everybody water. Fine, it's a good thought, Atiti Deva Bhava, that's what we have grown up with, fair enough, but sometimes is it practical? Some people don't even have, peons anymore, and that's not the way to move forward. That's, I think, that's a taken now. But he still has to be offered water if he wants, and he doesn't have to take a sip and give it back. Or of course, tea and coffee is always available. Because see, what can also happen is that here we are going in a smooth manner, but it can so happen that even when he's entered, Mr. Sharma is still in a meeting. Okay, so he might just tell him, okay, I am delayed by 10 minutes, and please order yourself a coffee in that apps of yours, or Mr. Sharma can do that as well. So he has these options. He can order a snack for himself. However, before he is ordered, Mr. Sharma has arrived on time, and they both enter the designated meeting room upon authentication. So that has been done. He has done that a long time back. So, okay. So since Prashant didn't have an option because Mr. Sharma arrived on time, Now, here is something which is again something which you face in daily life, right? I mean, you have sat for the meeting with a visitor and you really want to ask somebody to ask for tea or coffee, but that guy is not there. I mean, you are calling the extension number, he is serving tea to someone else, and you are feeling miserable about it because you really want to offer a glass of water to your visitor and you are not able to connect to him. Then you are trying on a mobile phone which doesn't work, or worse case if you have Airtel nowadays, you can't even connect. So, how do you order tea? All you do is that the same app which now Mr. Sharma has become quite an expert operating it, you just press a button. It can be a tea, it can be a coffee, it can be, oh, there is a fish fry there as well, okay. So, you can do that and it comes automatically. What it does is that it just sends, it triggers off another event. So, wherever your pantry guy is, he gets it on his, because see, pantry guy is also, if he has no work, he also must be thinking, okay, let me go and take a leak or take a smoke, whatever. He is not just there on a table. If he is inefficient, if he is not the right character, he is moving around. So, let him move around, not an issue. I mean, if he can actually take a break because there are no visitors, fair enough, he can move around. But if he gets an alert on his phone, which can be a normal phone, it doesn't have to be a smartphone. If he gets an alert on his phone, he knows, okay, now here is Mr. Sharma ordering something, at that meeting room he goes running there. So, he has been able to fulfill that on time. What the menus are, this is integrated with the pantry menu. So, what what we are trying to do is that some systems already exist. So, your parking management system, for example, exists. Your entry system exists. Your pantry is still existing. A lot of corporates do have pantry, and they have the menus well defined. What's available on that day is there. If it's not there, it has to be done, because it should be done because people should know in the pantry what is available today, in what quantities, etc., etc. Can I order? What is the price, etc., etc. So, that's all existing. So, if you don't have this, you can probably go back to your pantry, provider and tell him that, okay, this is how I want it. It's not a complex task, right? So, after a fruitful meeting, Prashant thanks Mr. Sharma for his time and takes his leave. So, immediately again, falling back on our meeting room, scheduling. So, meeting room it's okay now. So, that's got released. So, anybody else, wanting to book that room. So, it is now somebody else wants to book it. It's showing available. So, you can book that and go ahead with that. It also, the cleaning staff also gets intimated that, okay, the meeting is over, go and clean it up. And around it a few things happen. One is that, of course, the meeting room gets free, so other person is going to do it. The cleaning staff also, there is a monitoring here. Whether the cleaning staff has gone and cleaned that, because next meeting can start and you can have those soiled cups of coffees lying about. Again, the boss enters and he feels terrible about it, but he can't do a thing, because often with the admin people you can't reason, right? Sorry, I don't know how many admin people are here. So, that's always an issue. Your meeting room being dirty, or coffee not being available, and you can't do a thing because these things sometimes don't change in life. But here is that, at least if it's not changed, you have a record that this has not happened. So, if you're going to bring up the issue somewhere with someone, you can actually say, hey, this is what happened. Your meeting got over at 3 and your cleaning staff actually went at 3:30. I had a meeting at 3:15 and there was an issue because I had an important customer who felt bad about looking at our organization. It was not my cup of coffee. It was an organization which looked bad. So, these things are intangible but important in life. So, Prashant goes to his parking slot. His car is in B12. Here it is. So, the moment it leaves, you see what has happened is that it's turned green. So, again there is a sensor. So, it's turned green. Immediately the parking management system gets intimated, and what happens is that in that database of free parking slots get intimated. So, next guy who comes in can actually be allotted another B12 now at this point of time. So, person doesn't have to really figure out that aap kahan pe park karoge. He knows that it is at B12. Simple things exist, but sometimes we don't follow it. So, on his way back, he drops his access card, and that's how his boom barrier again opens, and he moves away. So, this was the visitor coming in. So, we will get to another portion of this, which is the employee. So, any questions here? Anything which is you found particularly interesting, or you found that something else could have been done, or how that happened? Any of these questions?
In fact, you have depicted everything very smart. And I was just thinking whether the food could have been served by robots.
I know. We will get there. We will get there. Drones. Yeah, drones are the big thing now. There's a lot of money being pumped into the sector. We are trying to sneak into the sector and playing our game. We are in touch with a few IITs on that. Drones can become quite.
I have a point here to ask. You know, basically you have a central system which deals with the software and hardware, and you have sensors all around for a variety of sensing you have to do, and you have transponders to act.
Correct.
That's the basic system.
Absolutely.
Now, these transponders or sensors, since they are pretty away from the basic hardware and software which is operating in a particular room probably, normal conventional system of connecting was either optical fiber or copper pairs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned Wi-Fi. Is it possible to connect all these via Wi-Fi to the central system?
It is. So I have my colleague Pinaki here. He's quite an Wi-Fi expert.
Yeah.
So I can answer that. But
that is possible. We doing these things via Wi-Fi and RFID also. Here is we create a various zone into the complete building, right? So this RFID sensor is there. So we create the complete zone into entire building or up to parking area also. So the zone wise that will work. And here is a central database system. Every zone will, that's a, Prashant is, somebody is moving from there, the reader will trigger the file to the database server, that's will update it. That will happen continuously.
So to answer your question, yes, it can be done. Now there are two ways. There is basically communication. It depends on your bandwidth. So if you are, so fortunately this whole system doesn't take much of bandwidth. It's very light, mostly streaming in nature, it's a few kbps. So with few kbps, Wi-Fi is possible. All you have to do is to design that Wi-Fi system so it's seamless and it's available one after the other. If in any other activity which we will also cover, which is basically video and all of that, if you require that, then you're getting into a 712 kbps or a 1 Mbps or 2 Mbps kind of thing. Then you might want to be mindful about the Wi-Fi part. The Wi-Fi N is now available, and it's becoming fast in leaps and bounds. But then so you need to make a choice there. So you can have Cat 6, you can have optical fiber. You can definitely do the whole thing with Wi-Fi. Surely yes.
Any organization in Kolkata who has adopted this end-to-end?
Not end-to-end. Not yet end-to-end. So you can figure out this. Bits and pieces are existing.
Any office in India who's adopted this end-to-end?
Not yet. So what is happening is that, well, I don't know how it sounds, but we are one of the, prime first movers in this app space. So we have Kuntal here, my partner. So he is the guy who has made this app, and then we are integrating with our knowledge of the other integration knowledge which we have, which is all that boom barriers and Wi-Fi, and as we will see in the boardrooms and all of that. So we will be able to integrate that. What does exist, of course, is that everything exists. For example, the parking we showed. I mean, I have never understood why, for example, a Quest doesn't have this or a South City Mall doesn't have it. It's really simple, and people like us who have moved around the world, Singapore or anywhere else, you'll find those lights. The moment you're entering, I'm sure you've been to these malls, you'll find a green and red light, right? The moment you're moving around. So there's a zone which will have a 30 parking zone, you will have some green and red light. So basically it's a simple way of telling you that, okay, there's a slot available here. You don't even have to wait till a B12 or something. The basics will always, it's not there even here. There's no reason for it. So, I don't know whether it's people who are responsible are the ones who are setting up the mall, or actually people like us who sell. So if I'm going to offer my solutions saying that, okay, this is now available, it is something which is immensely useful and maybe even not expensive. If you're going to spend those 100 crores on a mall, this will probably take you a few thousands, but even people don't do that. So what I'm saying is that these are all existing in bits and pieces. It's not available as a package and as a convenience way, and it's actually probably not yet made your office smarter, so you want to get there. But yeah, I mean, what we're doing is now we are putting all this in our office in Rajarhat. So because I keep getting this question that does it work? Yes, it does work, because and some people like a PwC, we have done a bit of it. We have done the AV integration. So in other offices, we have done other things. Now, so the whole thing we are putting it up. Security, for example, security surveillance. Everybody knows what a security surveillance can do, right? A camera will be there. and there will be scheduling, or there can be unidentified baggage, or if certain zones if we don't want people to enter, all that exists. But how many people actually follow it? How many people actually follow it, and how many people have actually linked it with this whole system? So there is a function, extra function which can be added, which I will cover in the next slide. How, say, since I mentioned this security part, everybody has security cameras, right, in the offices. That would be there. But what does it do? What does it do? I mean, how do you use it? If I may ask the question. The surveillance camera which is there in your premises, what does it do? I mean, what is the function of that? You would have spent good money on it.
Two things.
Any answers?
Yeah. Surveillance camera we normally install if there is camera takes the photograph. Series of camera over there, connected to DVR, DVR is connected to the PC, and somebody has to monitor. This is one solution.
Right.
If you don't have the monitor, you will run the analytics, give the logic. If you find any untoward, it is detected.
Yeah. Exactly. So okay, I've asked this question to many people. So many people actually have not gone to the analytics part. They still tell that okay, I have those cameras, I have those images coming in, but nobody really checks those. And if you have a administration department which says that okay, certain things need to be monitored, you still put a guy who is a very, very basic guy, because you don't want to put an engineer in front of, sitting in front of the, slide of the screen and looking at it. It's a very basic guy, he is not the efficient person. So often human beings don't end up spotting something which is out of the place. The two things, again, hygiene and then security.
Postmortem. Normally, in Indian perspective, we do the postmortem.
Yeah. Postmortem.
After the event happens,
roll it back and see what
So it's how you look at it. It can be hygiene, because certain activities might be happening in your campus which is not good for the hygiene of the organization. Does anybody actually notice that? Even if you notice, do you act on it? And who acts on it? It's people. And thanks being in Bengal, and if you're in some few government departments, then nothing is going to happen, right? If you spot, so what happens? Unless there is an alert which gets triggered by the whole process, because if an alert comes, then you're bound to, alert can be two ways. I can be human alert, it can be human alert. So your person who's actually monitoring the screen can give an alert. The sir, something is going wrong. The sir says, oh my God, the guy who is creating that nuisance is probably more powerful than me. What can I do? But if it's a system alert, then somebody that remains in the record, and even the person who's creating the nuisance can actually know that okay, if I'm doing this, then an alert has actually gone in the system, my image has been captured, and tomorrow somebody, because this system remains. So unless the system is like a support call, right? Unless it gets closed, it will keep on chasing the system. So that's one of the reasons. Coming back to smartness, okay, that we know, this we know, analytics we know. It's the middle of the night, if the boss's chamber, certain zone or a data center, if people are not supposed to move around that sector, between 6 in the morning, and why is the person moving? If there's movement, it will alert you. It will alert the right people. Okay, this we know. What we have used here in our theme of the story is that something else which happens. Also very interesting. Okay, okay. Before we get into that, what has happened is that, again, coming back to our camera thing. So all Prashant's movement has been actually captured by the security system. So what he did, so if he actually there's something happened, if some incident has happened, so we need to do forensic. So exactly what has happened is that you see he's starting from his license plate, what time he has entered, where he had parked his car, whether he came in with a pin or not, whom he met, everything has been recorded. In two manners, one is that he has images which is recording this, he also has a system which is an app which is actually monitoring it step by step. So these are the images, these are at 1:50 he was here, so walking out, so it was all fine, he is just walking out. So here is where he had entered, so you see there is a camera at the reception, 1:53 was at the reception, so everything is monitored. He is entered, gone into the zone, so everything is fine, right? And you have a, okay. So now we have Reshmi, so she is an employee. Okay, she can still use this app and can also make the whole system more efficient, more smart. So when she enters the car, does she require a PIN? No. What happens is that this camera we spoke about right now, actually does another thing, which is license plate recognition. A lot of people, this feature exists in most cameras which you're buying, but do you use it? Especially for campuses, we do a lot of work in these places, remote areas, large campuses, the steel plants, this and that, cars enter, large zones. How do they let the car enter? Just simple management system that if the regular car is coming in, why do you need to always spend a lot of time in making the car enter? Because Reshmi is probably coming every day. But sometimes you still have to enter the car because somebody has put the system in place. Yeah, it can be RFID also. So we have just put another one. It can be RFID, absolutely can be RFID. But what this does is that we have just given an analogy of the LPR. LPR has other things as well. In fact, even Prashant who came in, this also could have been done by that. LPR has certain challenges still in the recognition of the numbers. The fonts are still, people are getting over that technology. So we didn't mention it there because that opens up the discussion for different direction. So what happens is that it can be, see, Prashant also could have just taken a snap of his license plate, send it on that thing, and it could have been done with LPR. The moment the camera senses, then even that punching was not required. It is slightly faster, but probably the technology is set. So, she enters, the license plate has been recognized. So, who is she, when has she come, all of that is done. The employee ID, as you see, is all here. So, the barrier is released, she gets in. It's an easy system. So, she has her card, so she swipes. Now, what happens here? Here's something which again is slightly different from, may not be in the RPG group, but now if you just shift your focus away from your office to an office like a Infosys or a TCS, when in a single floor there can be 500 people sitting, right? Now, what happens in a TCS or the software people is that most people are on projects. So, people don't even sit there most of the time. If you have 500 seating capacity, 100 people are not even sitting. But if somebody's planned it that, okay, I have 100 employees, I have 100 project managers, so I must have 500 seats, it's a gross waste of space. And we know how expensive real estate is nowadays. It's really expensive. So, how do I avoid this? It can be avoided. So, what happens is that in this system of ours, which is actually this is now catching on. Now, Cisco, for example, has got a great solution on this. It's called dynamic desk, hot desks, dynamic desk solution, right? So, what it does is that it does not, people here don't have a fixed space. Doesn't sound good, but that's the way offices are moving forward to. So, it's best that we align ourselves in that direction without really thinking that it's good or not, because it's going to happen. So, everybody, people, normal people who are project managers, again, not in your perspective maybe, but think about it that perspective, it is something which is, so the desks are not there, it's not allocated. So, Reshmi, so she punches her key, she gets in. So, all of her, her attendance and HR and all that gets updated. So, she gets a dynamic desk. Okay, so she doesn't have fixed desk because why do people require fixed desk? Basically, to keep some books, which often on papers, which for days and years would not be used. So, it's just occupying the space. So, this desk doesn't have a storage space, otherwise it's a desk. So, the desk with the PC, with the phone, all of that is there, but it's not fixed for her. But thanks to technology, we have identity management. So, what happens is that apart from the desk getting allocated, few other things happen. Again, though she is an employee, maybe she is coming to that, she is a new employee, or it's a very large space, it's a new office she has gone to, she also gets a direction to her desk. So, she really doesn't have to figure out, an HR person doesn't have to tell her that here is your desk, not required. Why is it required? So, identity management, because few things has happened, she's been allocated her extension number on the phone, because that's fixed. So, wherever she is, her extension number remains fixed. So, if she got her extension number 121, wherever she is, throughout the entire network of the office, it can be at that office, it can be at another office, all that is fixed. So, she gets that done, again with the same app, her PC switches on. When the PC switches on, she exactly gets the same, it's virtualized. So, she gets the same desktops with her, kids picture or this holiday picture which she wants to have it there. It all comes up there, not necessary where she was sitting everywhere. So, workplace of course lights up, there's energy management there. So, she has a video phone, so people actually not coming to her and telling her just to be done this, done that. So, video calls are there. She gets called for the meeting room. So, In the meeting room, there would be a few smart features, like this again you would know, so I am not getting too much into it, because the curtain control, you have lighting control, of course, microphone control, camera control. So the good thing is that all this lights, dimming, scheduling, everything you can do through your app. So this is your app, same phone you have got, smartphone, Samsung or anything else, you have the control, you can do all of this. If you want a VC to be done, if you want a light to go on and off, it can be done, integrated with that. So you have a system which exists like this. AV is not a big deal anymore. Your integrators are doing this for you. Well, can you make it smarter? So you don't have 3 remotes and 1 iPad or 1 touch screen. So you have one which you are controlling the whole thing, because you are really easy with that, because sometimes you might get into a room and you still have to call as an assistant trying to switch on that light or putting that curtain. If you're easy with that phone, then you know how to operate it. You've done it a few times. That's how it's smarter. So to wrap it up, what it does is that, so we have point management system, we have a visitor management system, we have license plate recognition, we have parking management system, we have CCTV surveillance analytics, RFID based tracking, we have meeting room scheduler, we have secure guest Wi-Fi, lighting control, climate control, PC control, boardroom automation, pantry management and ordering, proximity, biometric access control, dynamic workplace allocation, IP video communication, IP extension mobility. Suddenly it looks like I have done so many things, but while I was giving the presentation, you probably felt that this is all existing, right? But if you look at it, all of this is all existing in your systems, but it's probably not stitched together, and you are probably not using all of it, or what is supposed to function, the efficiency of the system is probably not there. So what you're doing is that harness the same system to do something more and smarter. That's what
one
it is.
question.
Yes, sir.
This PC control, what
Yeah.
you are telling,
Yeah.
the moment this ID, the 455 seat number is allocated,
Yeah.
you will go there.
Yeah.
Okay. So the switch on the PC is already on.
Yeah.
Okay. And the same this page and all these things,
Yeah.
he is getting. That means and how is it possible?
VDI.
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 Virtualized.
Has to be must.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
VDI.
So see, I'm not really getting into that why virtualization is good, why desktop virtualization is good, or why is it Citrix you use or is it VMware? I can give you a presentation. As I said, each of these.
You have to go for VDI.
Yeah. So see, I mean, what we will do after this is that we will actually tell you why VDI is good or not, because that itself is a vast subject, whether you invest in virtualization or not. Now, I'm not getting into that because most offices have adopted virtualization. That's the only way to go, because you need to optimize your resources and make them manageable. So virtualization is it doesn't require so much of selling anymore. It's happening everywhere. So so all that is now available with your Easy app. So this is the kind of network diagram. I'm not getting into this. So you'll see there are sensors and there are Wi-Fi system, there's somebody alert. This is a kind of a high-level technical diagram. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope it was useful to you and you found it interesting. So my coordinates are here, my card is also here. So anything beyond this, any discussion beyond this, why it is good, what more can be done, we would be happy to come with you, at your office and discuss more about this. Any questions? I'm open to questions. I know we're running late, but we can do it now or we can take it probably
I
offline.
have a few questions.
Yes, sir.
Like, how will you define how early the visitor can come? Like, the meeting is scheduled at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So, is there a mechanism that he can enter the premises maximum half an hour early? Second thing is, like, how does Mr. Sharma's room comes to know that actually he's leaving for the meeting or he's leaving for something else and comes back and the light should not be switched off? Maybe he's going to the washroom.
Yeah.
Third thing is, how does the conference room comes to know and sets an alert to the housekeeping that actually the meeting has ended and now he should walk in or she should walk in to do the cleaning.
Yeah.
And then on the second part which is showed for the employee, how does Rashmi is not coming in her own car, and the another practical thing, maybe she has forgotten her swipe. Then what happens?
So all these things can be done, because as you can make out, as you're saying it, this requires a bit of tweaking in the system. So say for example, if he is not supposed to come in it's 2 o'clock. What you're saying is that can he come in, if he comes, it lands up at 1 o'clock. We don't want that to happen because we're scheduling a parking system accordingly. So in that app, it will be, those options will be given that he gets an entry from this zone. So if his meeting is 2 p.m., he probably gets to enter the premises at 12:31. It's integrated with his database. He doesn't get his boom barrier doesn't open if he's coming in at 12:10. So that can be done. It's not an issue. So these features can be. This basic system is very powerful. So it's a bit of tweaking. Is almost like software development. So you can just tweak those. Those are no issues. You can just put in the extra parameters, and it can be all integrated. Customized, highly customized.
May I add on to this? Because as you said that Rashmi is Rashmi not bringing her own car, right? So if she has 2-3 cars, so in 2-3 cars,
maybe she is coming by a public transport.
Yeah.
Public transport. Then her card, the employee card will be work like that. That is a RFID card. When she entering into the office, into the premises, the gate will turnstile gate will open. That is the second.
She has a card, so she in any case will be able to move around everywhere. What happens is that basically the system tells us where to go. So
here is the 2-3 types of backup plans are there, right? If she has 2-3 cars, right? So every car we can put a RFID tag over there. When card is her second card will enter into the premises, then the gate will open. So here is option is there.
And someone else enters that?
yeah, so those are issues which will exist in life. I mean, one thing.
You cannot breach that security.
Yeah.
The security is breached already.
See, sir, we all know security has not been able to be made 100%. But I'm happy you asking this question. But at least that means you are at least thinking about security.
Yeah.
Most people don't even do that. I mean, how many people actually wondered whether an intruder is actually in my campus right now or not? For example, let's talk about the hospitality, which is a big deal. We have said we are here right now, right? If somebody has actually entered the gate, I've entered, right? I have come here for a meeting, fair enough. But if I'm going to do something else, is there a zone designated that okay, a guest has come in and this is where he's supposed to go? This is analytics. So I think you have a big data analytics coming up. ENY is giving that. So it's simple. So it will analyze that if a car has come in, where can he go? He can go into the lobby. It can go into the banquet. Can I suddenly go into the pantry or not? So that movement can be tracked, and if I have a tag with me, it depends on how much of security you want. It will immediately send an alert that this guy has gone somewhere which requires a look. So similarly with the car, yes, I mean somebody else can come with the car and car's license plate recognition is there, but a few other things will have to be tagged along with it. Okay, if the car has entered, but the card has not been swiped, or a few other parameters, then they will all match. Then how come the car has entered, but Reshmi has in the next half an hour she is not entered? Then where is she? I mean, is it somebody else's car or she is doing something else? So all that can be programmed.
So Chakrabarty, you mentioned that you are implementing all of this in your office.
Yes. Not all of this, whatever is
For
possible.
most of them, I guess. So what's the kind of time frame you have for implementing all of this? Because it's
already
important to see it,
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
like they say, seeing is believing.
Yeah.
Because concept-wise, this is a smart process. There's no denying that.
Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
there's no denying that. But the efficacy